The HEDGE and its laboratory is one of the first that you could explore and conquer. Now 1.0 is here, I'm going through everything you need to know in the ultimate guide with all the most recent changes and up-to-date information. So if you find this video useful, do leave a like, go and check out all my other Ultimate 1.0 guides. And let me show you every single piece of raw science, every molar, every upgrade part and more. Let's go. Just in case you can't see the HEDGE, it is directly in the southeast of the map corner, just past the wetlands. You'll probably be visiting this place at least 3 different times, not to mention others where you want to get the berries. Although there are now berries available in 2 other bushes at least in more of the northeast part of the map. You'll most likely clear the hedge out to get the berries and maybe some of the stuff on the floor. The second time will be about clearing out the HEDGE laboratory. And the third time will probably be picking up more of the molars if you haven't got a tier 2 hammer and defeating the broodmother. So make sure you bring at least 1 tuft so that you can glide down if you fall from the branches, a couple torches, and make sure you've got enough to make a lean-to. You can put a lean-to up on the high branches and save you having to restart all over again if you die. A tier 2 hammer is a bonus, but like I said, you more than likely have to come back here as this is really meant to be one of the early game dungeons and areas that you'll explore. Weapons wise, you're going to be fighting off against a bunch of All-Weaver Juniors and Spiderlings, as well as some of the Tase T and Ruz T robots. For that reason, you're better off bringing a good upgraded axe to take care of the spiders, and although the Tase Ts do take smash damage more heavily, it's better advised to use a stabbing tool as it's quicker to take them down with. You could probably do with a few bits of food, but you will find plenty of granola bars unless you do really want to save them for later. If you followed my ultimate guide to the anthill, you should have the bee armor. I would wear that. Otherwise, the oak armor would be fine too. What you've been seeing right now is how you're going to go and get the first milk molar, or where the location is, as well as one of the scabs. It's right over in the far right hand side, and yes, you will have to do a bit of parkour jumping. It can be a bit tough, but you will eventually be able to jump on top of that lip. At the very top of this structure, there should be the scab cyber strike. And then you simply use your tuft to go ahead and glide to the next part here to get the milk molar. Be warned, if you jump into this hole near the plug, it will electrocute you and you will die. So I'm going to speed up the gameplay a little bit just to talk you through it quicker, but it's a whole network and different types of branches that can lead to dead ends. You want to go over to the one that's got the scanner. You should find some granola bars in here, as well as some more lore and story with the tape. And then when you come outside, you want to go ahead and follow this branch here close to the red wire. You'll see some science points at 100 here, and then go back to that junction and then just simply follow it as it starts creeping upwards. You'll go underneath the red wire so you've got the right one, and then you should be on this main branch here. The rest of the area has got a bit of a better location to get some berries, but there really isn't anything else worth getting there at the moment in terms of science points, I don't think. So instead, follow this branch towards the mushrooms that are on the branch here. This is where you'll encounter your first spiderling. As I said, they can be taken out with an axe pretty simply. The juice carton is a good spot maybe to put a lean-to just to help get a quick up head start, but otherwise you want to go up this branch first, and then we're going to go and get some more science points. At the very edge of one of these branches you will find some more. It can be pretty tough to see in the daylight, but precariously go over and you should be just over the wetlands, and then simply return back to the juice carton. Deal with some more baby spiderlings, and then go ahead and take a nice big drop from the juice carton itself. This does count to one of the locations you can get if you want to get the mutation for exploring all of the yard. And now there is a milk molar on top of that juice carton. I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can get it, as well as a scab that is much higher. You can climb on this straw that will get you one way up. You have to go all the way up to the top and then use some of the grass leaves just behind you to get on top of the carton itself, as you can't actually make it up here like this. It can be a little bit finicky, but with a bit of practice you should be able to get up high enough and then go ahead and use your dandelion tuft to swing over to it. There is another way as well, but that involves going further through the hedge and then backtracking. But we'll show you that, as that's the way that you can actually get the scab, which is on the highest branch just above us here. So remember that, we'll come back to that in a second. We want to head over to this laboratory here, so go on the zip line and jump off on this branch and then grab the 500 science points. Simply go into here and you have to take on a couple of Ruz Ts. As I said, they're more weak against smashing damage. Unless you've got a tier 2 hammer or you've upgraded your hammer already, then yeah, I would still go ahead and use a spear. Once defeated, you'll open up a chest that's got some upgrade parts, the tough nuggets and a meal. That's why you don't need lots of food when exploring up here. Some more science points, some more granola bars and bandages, and turning on the actual resource scanner. This is a fairly new addition. It used to be hidden behind the rest of the laboratory, but they've moved it a bit earlier so players can now scan for items a bit quicker and easier. You'll now be able to take any resources that you've already scanned and it will show up on the resource scanner so you can go and find it easy. So head back outside and we're going to be following still the zipline basically to this branch here, and then it gets a bit more mazy. Which way do you go? We'll take this middle branch and you want to be heading over to the next laboratory in any way you can. This is where you'll find a whole bunch of the egg sacs. Previously the egg sacs used to give a lot more bug parts reliably, things like ladybug heads, all sorts of the acid sacs and more, but they've kind of nerfed it a little bit. So you might not want to spend as much time taking them out, and they do obviously have spiderlings inside. Science points are here as well as another scab. This one is bug juice, and you should be able to get some water here. It is best advised to bring a canteen, but you should be able to get just about enough water to survive as well. More upgrade parts and another smoothie, a beefy version this time. Before we go deeper, we're going to go and get that scab. So head off on top of this left hand branch, jump on top of the orange cord and keep going all the way to the top. You should be able to jump on top of this branch, but make sure you don't rebound as that can send you downwards. Get the 500 science points and then drop down onto the orange cord again. Hop over the leaves and eventually you'll come right up here. Now this is a bit finicky, you may have to duck down a little bit or use some of the leaves to jump on to get it, but we're aiming for the left hand side of this branch. That's where you'll find the scab. You'll notice I use the word finicky when I say it's pretty glitchy, and you'll probably fail this a few times, but try and just land on some of the branches if that happens. Second time lucky, this time on the branch, and you should just about be able to move over onto the branch like that, sideways, and you're exactly where we were when I said the scab will be hiding underneath this leaf. This one is called Witchley. And from here you can jump down and get the milk molar if you really want, if you haven't already got it. So back to outside the laboratory where we'd stopped, and this time you head up this main branch with the mushrooms on the side. Hop onto the mushrooms and go round and you've got the next zipline. Follow the zipline all the way down and you should come across the frisbee and the entrance to the broodmother. This is one of the first bosses in Grounded to ever be added. Grab the 100 science points, and this is also a good spot maybe to try and set up a lean-to. Before you can fight the broodmother though, you need a recipe for the broodmother BLT, and that's pretty much going to summon her down into the arena. This is why you have to do it pretty much 3 times, as the recipe is at the very end of the hedge. Plenty of egg sacs as well as maybe some spiderlings already here, but make sure you pick up the supreme. Hop onto the branch and keep following it down, and underneath the frisbee you should find another 100 raw science. Follow the zip line and you'll be at another laboratory with some more resources to get, as well as spiderlings to fight. And again, one more chest with resources inside. Head through the doors, follow the branch on the left hand side here, and this will take you up to the final zip line that gets you into the HEDGE laboratory, just once you climb these mushrooms. This is where you're going to encounter the junior orb weavers as well as Taze Tees and a few other Ruz Tees. Zipline all the way through and you'll come across a console that you can activate, but you're going to need some more password pieces to do so. So make sure you put your hand on the scanner, and then tapping on console will open up some of the doors. We need to get the rest of the passwords to open up the doorway, which is in this room just here. Follow the pathway up and then go ahead and demolish the webs. You can use any weapon, but the axe is probably best. Inside is where you'll find usually a few small spiderlings and an orb weave junior. Stabbing is actually one of the worst weapons to use against spiders, but nevertheless it is what I had to hand here, so I just carried on with it. Don't forget these guys can poison you, they've got a chance to do so, so you might want to make sure you've got plenty of healing items on you. Already you can see my inventory is pretty stacked. That's why you really want to come here pretty light, as there's loads of resources to gather. Pick up the password piece, 58, and then there should only really be one way to go, other than maybe the zip line down to where we'll face off for another piece of password. But instead we're going to go down the corridor here first and take on some of the Taze Tees. They do a pretty damaging attack if they do their spin attacks. That's the one you've got to avoid the most, but otherwise as long as you've got a shield you should be able to block most of it pretty easily. And just use your spear. Again, it's not the best weapon, but it's quick and easy. Once defeated, you can go ahead and go through the corridor once more, and you'll take on another TASE-T on the right hand side. You'd also might aggro one that will come far down the corridor on the left, and look out for any more spiderlings that you didn't take care of. And there's a few different avenues you can go. There's 3 ways in fact. First off though, we're going to be going down the corridor on the right hand fork and take care of 2 more TASE-Ts, which obviously give you 100 raw science each time you defeat them. You can pick up the berry pieces here as well, so it's definitely worth grabbing, and another raw science. Next up, head down the zip line. You will meet this branch, but then you can see the golden molar that you'll be able to get if you've got a tier 2 hammer. Jump back on the zip line and take care of a Ruz-T. They do hop over to the other branch sometimes, and be on the lookout as they will hop back. But you can pick up the password 19, and that's the second part. At this point it might be getting dark, so obviously use a torch, and you can go ahead and put a lean-to anywhere around you, this area you want. It all just depends on how confident you are, if you haven't already used them up, or if you've got plenty of resources that you brought with you, go ahead and place one on one of the branches nearby. From this point though, if you drop down, there is a way up. There's a laboratory door here on the branch that will take you back into the main laboratory, so you don't have to panic if you do drop down. There is another 100 raw science that's well worth coming up this way anyway, and it should take you to the corridor with the 3 different entrances. You might trigger another TASE-T or Ruz-T to come down, and then simply keep heading up back to this main junction. This time we're going to go upwards, and we're going to go through the spiderwebs here. At the top is a resource room, plenty of stuff to take, really useful, including spun web, and look out for some of these weeds and grass planks. If you actually chuck them on the floor, you can go ahead and use them for maybe a mixer defense at the bottom of the hedge. Once ready, go ahead and jump on a zip line, but hop off before you get to the end, get the science points, and there should be a hole that you can jump into. You'll face off against a bunch of spiderlings, so take care of them, and you'll get the next piece of the password. The right hand door will take you back down to the resource scanner. The left hand door will also take you to one of the junctions, so you can break through here and it just opens everything up. One final piece now of the password. You'll get knocked off by the berry. You can either use an arrow to fire at it and it will drop off before you jump, or do what I did and then jump back on it. Now sometimes there is an Orb Weaver Junior in here, other times it drops to the floor, so just take care of the spiderlings, maybe all the sacks, and get that final piece of the password. There's also a scab here as well, and this should be Ghost Mint. Break through the spiderweb here, and that should get you the doorway back into one of the main corridors, and this will take you all the way back up to the laboratory if you want to scan your resources. But before we do that, I'm actually going to show you another scab location. There is one on one of the branches nearby. Your best bet is to jump on top of the laboratories here, and you should be able to get to the branch needed much easier. Also, before we do that, keep going all the way up to the top of the resource room, climbing on top of the laboratories, and you'll find another milk molar. Anyway, back to getting the scab that I said was on a branch. On top of the laboratories here, you should be looking for the mixer that's on the bottom right hand side. Land on top of this branch and then keep following it all the way up to the very edge, and you will find the scab hidden away. This is Fright Scab. If you want a quick and easy way to get back into the main console room though, to activate that closed door, you can also hop onto the zip line, and now you should be able to use it. There will be 500 science points here as well, but I went and got that earlier when I decided to put a lean-to close by. Activate the console and the door will open, and now you can go ahead and get the HEDGE chip. This previously was where you scanned or got the buttons turned on the resource scanner as well. Like I said, they moved it a bit earlier. As always, return the HEDGE chip, the super chip, to Burgle, and then go ahead and check out the ASL store to find the new unlocks. Included is Ziplines for 2,500, ladders for 2,500, the cookbook HEDGE 3,500, which gives the recipes for the spider slider and mac and bees, Daredevil mutation, which unlocks reducing full damage, that's 3,000 science points, a sign set for Crow, which is 4,000 science points, and the glue masher. That's advanced smithing, pretty much giving you options to go ahead and repair some of the later game gear. That's 500 science points. So continuing on, jump on top of the branch just outside the main room with the terminal where I set up my lean-to, and then you will find some branches. There used to be a laboratory in the top left, but it got removed most recently, so instead head for the branches to the left hand side where you can actually go outside. This is the bird table that you'll be able to jump on if you do a bit of parkour on the leaves on the left hand side. It is pretty finicky, so I will show you another slightly easier way a little later. But first we need to get the broodmother recipe for the BLT. So follow this branch all the way down, past the mushrooms here. You'll actually see the password or paper on the back of the laboratory, and head up this branch again towards these mushrooms. Take the left hand fork and you'll break through the bushes again, and there'll be another small observatory here. This way you'll be able to get the recipe for the BLT, as well as some more raw science and another scab. You will not be able to face the broodmother until you get this recipe. This scab is called version 2.11. So at this point you can safely jump down to the floor. You'll find a tunnel that connects all the way down to close to the bird bath, and this is how you can get back up here in the future quick and easy. You won't be able to go through this doorway from the bottom until you've activated the hedge. However, if you go back up, you'll find some broken parts of the laboratory. These were all put here to stop Wendell's kids from demolishing them in the yard. But the flying discmans that were thrown were actually still doing damage to them. You'll find one of the backstory recordings here as well. And there's going to be some resources like some of the stone nut rocks or the tough rocks nearby. Plus one more milk molar. Right at the back by the fence there'll be another lab piece broken. This is where the milk molar is. And then if you have a good explore, you should find at least one tough rock as well as one style rock hidden amongst the branches down here. Once you've got them, you can go ahead and drop down to the mixer level, hug the flower bed wall to the right hand side, and you'll come across this cave, which is an Easter egg reference to the forest. Inside you'll find plenty of ant parts to pick up, as well as some style and tough nuggets, plus a rotten ant club and the recipe for the ant totem. Now you've activated the hedge, you should now be able to take part in the mixers. If you'd thrown all the stuff from the floor from the laboratory, you can then throw it onto the ground nearby here as well from that flower bed, and it will just help you craft the resources needed to help defend against them. Then just keep exploring more of these branches, and again you're going to find plenty of tough and style nuggets or rocks. Head over to the broken lab pieces and you'll find some more raw science, and one more cassette giving you some backstory. Then run all the way over to the far corner where you see the fence meeting the back wall, and you'll find another milk molar. Just over the way you'll find some twisted branches or trunks, and around here you'll find another tough rock. And that is almost it, other than to show you what's inside the bird bath. So this way is slightly easier than trying to get to it from the other side. Basically go to the very start where you've got the zip line over to the juice box. Follow the branches closest to the outside of the hedge, and you should see across the way a actual metal zip line. Now you can't actually connect it to any of the other zip lines. It's meant to be that you connect one up here so you can get across nice and easy yourself. However, with a bit of funkiness, you can jump on these leaves on the right hand side and make it across to some of the leaves over there. And that way you should be able to get up on top of that branch. It can be difficult with the leaves often knocking you off, and you want to make sure you've got a glider, not breaking just like my one there, but you should just about be able to get up enough that you'll be able to climb on top of the branch. You do have to have quite a bit of patience, and you might end up just on this greenery here, but eventually you'll make it. There's a spiderling or two maybe on this branch, but otherwise carry on up the branch and you should be able to make it onto the bird bath pretty easily. In the first level water itself, you'll find a bunch of style nuggets if you swim around. In fact, there should be at least 3 of them in here. And then a mega milk molar on the side. The very top part of the bird bath, another 100 raw science, and you've got the scab hedgeberry, which again is more purpley, sort of mauve flavoured. And there we go, ultimate guide to the hedge done and dusted, laboratory done, everything you need to go and take on the broodmother in terms of the recipe, and now you just got to get the resources and get yourself ready for taking her on. As always, if anything else changes, I'll let you guys know, but I'm expecting this to be the same now all the way through to 1.0 and beyond. Let me know if these guides have been helpful, and I'll see you ratbags for more very soon. Bye bye.